Blake Lively is having the worst courtroom meltdown of the last 2 years, all at once. And believe me, this time it's real. Because Ryan Reynolds just revealed the one shocking truth we all already knew, but hearing it from her own husband. That's the end of Blake's carefully filtered life. It's brutal watching a man turn on his wife, but honestly, what choice did he have? His 2 upcoming films and a decade-long contract were canceled just because Blake wanted to play the victim, and ended up becoming the most hated woman on the internet. So if this is Ryan's revenge, honestly, full marks. And this all happened at the pretrial hearings for Blake Lively's misconduct case that are underway, quietly dragging through the discovery phase where names are dropped, subpoenas fly, and witnesses shuffle in and out of the courtroom. Taylor Swift was summoned, but never showed. A few former PR assistants testified via Zoom. A barista from the set of Lakeside gave a shaky statement about Blake's mood swings. In short, nothing explosive, until the court added a name to the witness list that no one expected to see: Ryan Reynolds. Behind the scenes, Blake was unraveling. Her lawyers were down to 2 mid-tier litigators from Manhattan, who looked like they were billing by the minute but bleeding by the hour. Then came June 1st. Out of nowhere, the witness list was updated. Ryan Reynolds, legally compelled to testify under Rule 45. It wasn't voluntary, it wasn't prepped, and it wasn't confidential. The moment his name appeared on the court docket, Twitter, X, had a field day. His Marvel press tour was paused. Disney sent out a quiet email saying, "Deadpool 3 is undergoing production adjustments." Means Ryan was about to air the kind of laundry you don't stream on Disney+. He entered through a side door. His legal team had begged the judge for an exemption, arguing his career commitments made physical presence disruptive. Judge Marcia Dempsey denied it flat. The court needed him to live, not filtered, not edited, just Ryan under oath. Once sworn in, Ryan kept it clinical. He acknowledged a major marital dispute in November 2023, one that erupted after he found messages between Blake and Justin Baldoni that were far from professional. In those texts, according to the court transcript, Blake had described Baldoni as emotionally attentive and said she felt understood in a way Ryan doesn't. Ryan told the court, "That was the start of the spiral. She panicked about her image, not about being hurt." Ryan didn't call her a liar, but he did say this: "She was worried people would find out she was texting Justin late at night. The accusations came after that, not before. That's timeline damage." Blake's lawyers tried objection on grounds of hearsay, but Judge Dempsey ruled it admissible since spousal privilege didn't apply in civil misconduct testimony, and the statements directly countered the official affidavit Blake had filed in January. The courtroom wasn't packed, but the 3 reporters inside typed like their lives depended on it. Reynolds added one more punch before stepping down. He said that Blake had told him, "If I don't frame this right, I lose the brand, the podcast deal, and my seat at the table." The judge didn't even flinch. It was on record now. What started as a victim claim was suddenly being pulled apart, not by a tabloid, but by her own husband. Ryan Reynolds' sworn testimony was calm, composed, and cold enough to freeze the air in the courtroom. Under oath, he stated clearly that he had never seen Blake show a shred of emotional distress after the alleged harassment incident with Justin Baldoni. Just one intense argument in their kitchen in November 2023, one that would later become the unofficial turning point in their marriage. That argument wasn't about safety or harm. It was about trust and the discovery of messages between Blake and Baldoni that Ryan described as flirtatious, persistent, and deeply inappropriate. The court transcript showed Ryan detailing how Blake dismissed his anger at the time by accusing him of overreacting, calling her texts harmless industry banter. But as Ryan told the judge, what bothered him wasn't the tone of the messages. It was Blake's sudden obsession with how things might look if they ever leaked. That was when, according to him, she floated the idea of flipping the entire narrative. She allegedly suggested that if the situation got out of control, she could go public with her version first, shaping the coverage before Baldoni had a chance to defend himself. Ryan said he pushed back, thinking she was bluffing, but she quickly became defensive. His words were chilling. "I didn't think she'd actually go through with it. I thought she was just trying to save her career." In that moment, the court shifted. What had been framed as a misconduct allegation was now being pulled apart, inch by inch, under the weight of marital testimony. Reynolds wasn't there to attack Blake's character. He stuck to facts, to dates, to language. But the implication was clear. Blake's story had layers, and not all of them matched. The discovery of the messages predated the complaint by several weeks, which directly contradicted her original timeline submitted in her January 2024 affidavit. The defense attorneys didn't even need to hammer the point. Ryan had already done it for them. The next morning, Ryan's legal team submitted physical exhibits, screenshots of internal communications between Blake and her then publicist, Stephanie Jones. These weren't screenshots pulled from tabloids or private chats. They were email threads pulled directly from backup logs and authenticated through court-ordered digital forensics. The content of these emails flipped the tone of the courtroom from tense to electric. One email dated January 9th, 2024, showed Blake writing to Jones, "Justin's been acting shady. If he leaks the texts, I'm done. I'll destroy him first. Let's own the narrative like Amber did with Depp." That comparison alone sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Multiple reporters confirmed hearing gasps. Stephanie Jones's name, once protected by NDA-heavy contracts, was suddenly back on every courtroom document. The judge ordered a 10-minute recess not out of procedure, but because she wanted to verify the origin of the files herself. Her request was clear: validate the metadata, check the server path, and rule out tampering. The forensic team confirmed the worst. Everything checked out. The emails were real. The timeline aligned perfectly. Blake had sent those messages 4 days before filing her formal complaint. She had already decided on the Amber strategy, as one analyst called it, and had moved forward not based on fear or recovery, but on brand preservation. The timing also matched a sudden PR shift in early January. Scheduled podcast appearances were canceled, product placements were pulled, and quiet, repositioning emails were sent to entertainment editors, framing Blake as a woman navigating hostile industry waters. Justin Baldoni's legal team remained silent through it all. They didn't need to argue. They didn't need to posture. With each piece of evidence, their case was being made for them. And when the judge returned from recess, she didn't look at Blake. She looked straight at her lawyer and asked whether the defense would like to amend their strategy. No objections were raised. No clarification offered. The courtroom had just witnessed what may become the defining moment of the entire trial. The media frenzy reignited immediately after the hearing. Entertainment law analysts compared the strategy to infamous celebrity cases, calling the email exhibits a smoking gun. One former prosecutor went live on CNN to say, "You don't use words like destroy him or own the narrative when you're scared. You use them when you're planning your next move." As headlines shifted from Blake Lively's courage to Blake Lively's calculated moves, Ryan Reynolds disappeared once again from the public eye. But the damage his testimony caused couldn't be undone. For the court, the question was no longer whether the incident with Justin Baldoni happened, but whether the complaint itself was a manufactured PR tactic. And the more evidence the defense revealed, the harder it became to separate truth from branding. Now, if you think, why would a husband publicly turn against his wife, drag his personal life into a courtroom, and drop bombs that could burn down her entire image? Let me tell you the truth. It's not just about hurt feelings or infidelity. It's about career damage on a scale that even Hollywood agents can't spin. Because ever since Blake Lively's case began to snowball into a full-blown scandal, Ryan Reynolds has been bleeding professionally, quietly, brutally, and irreversibly. The first blow came from Disney. As soon as Ryan's name showed up in court filings tied to a civil misconduct lawsuit, the House of Mouse went into immediate lockdown. Internal emails reviewed by industry reporters confirmed that all press junkets, interviews, and promotional material for Deadpool and Wolverine were put on indefinite hold, even though post-production was nearly complete. Executives cited ongoing domestic complications as the reason, a polite way of saying, "This scandal is bad for family-friendly business." Then came the financial blow. Reynolds had signed an $18 million deal with Apple TV Plus for a hybrid comedy drama series, co-produced by his own company, Maximum Effort. It was set to begin production in late summer 2025. The show had already secured a full-season greenlight and was reportedly in the middle of casting. But after Ryan's courtroom testimony made headlines and the emails between Blake and her PR team went viral, Apple quietly pulled out. One executive anonymously told Deadline, "We loved the concept, but right now, anything associated with that family is just too hot to touch." In private, Ryan was furious, and it wasn't just about money. It was about control. His control over his own brand, something he had meticulously crafted over 15 years. From Aviation Gin to Mint Mobile, from Deadpool to Wrexham, Reynolds had spent years positioning himself as Hollywood's most likable entrepreneur. Suddenly, that image was being dragged through the mud, not by his own mistakes, but by what he viewed as Blake's reckless campaign to manipulate public perception at the cost of everything else. And the frustration wasn't just his. Hugh Jackman, Reynolds' longtime friend and co-star, reportedly voiced his concerns to Marvel executives. According to leaks from within the studio, Hugh warned that the ongoing scandal could overshadow the entire franchise and turn Deadpool 3 into a tabloid punchline. This was especially risky considering how much of the film's marketing depended on the chemistry between the two actors. Insiders say Marvel is now considering separating the duo for promotional events. Or worse, delaying the film's release until the public forgets. Meanwhile, studios and investors started backing away. One streaming platform, allegedly Prime Video, paused development on another Reynolds-led project about artificial intelligence and family dynamics. Sources claim the project was 30 days from pre-production. The reason given was reputation risk. Ryan didn't stay silent about how he felt. According to multiple insiders close to his team, he has privately told colleagues and friends that Blake's unchecked ambition is destroying everything he built. He feels betrayed, not just personally, but strategically. In one reportedly leaked message to a close friend, he said, "She turned a PR problem into a legal war zone and dragged my entire career into it. I'm not collateral damage, I'm the actual target now." And that's exactly why he flipped in court. It wasn't just about the truth, it was about survival. Reynolds saw his name being shredded across headlines, and the more he stayed quiet, the more people assumed he was complicit. So when the subpoena came, he didn't fight it, he embraced it. Because if his silence was costing him everything, then testifying was his only move left. The real tragedy isn't that Ryan and Blake are at odds. It's that the fallout is affecting projects that had nothing to do with the scandal at all. Studio staffers have reported a chilling effect. Producers now hesitate to greenlight anything with Ryan's name unless it's squeaky clean. Public perception is the currency in Hollywood, and right now, the lively Reynolds brand is in freefall, not because of a divorce, not because of a scandal, but because the curtain was pulled back, and what people saw wasn't just messy, it was market poison. At first, Ryan Reynolds stayed silent, not out of loyalty to Blake, but out of obligation to the image they had carefully constructed over a decade. He told close friends that he didn't want to add gasoline to a fire already out of control. Internally, he hoped things would cool off, the legal noise would settle, and Blake's scandal would stay contained. But the truth is, from the very beginning of Blake's allegations against Justin Baldoni, Ryan had been under immense pressure from Disney and his own PR team to publicly separate himself from her, and he resisted for a while. Behind the scenes, Disney wasn't playing nice. Executive notes, now leaked to multiple trade publications, show that the company had repeatedly flagged Ryan's name in association with Blake's scandal as a Tier 1 brand exposure risk. Their advice was firm: distance fast or risk franchise-level damage. Still, Ryan pushed back. He told one executive he believed in letting people sort out personal battles privately. But the pressure didn't stop at the boardroom. It was coming from Blake's side too. According to Ryan's sworn deposition, Blake began spiraling the moment high-profile friends began ghosting her. Taylor Swift, once the face of her inner circle, stopped replying to texts. Gigi Hadid unfollowed her private account. Cara Delevingne dropped out of a joint ad campaign last minute. The silence from that A-list sisterhood wasn't random. It happened after Blake's internal emails were subpoenaed, the ones showing her plotting a media attack against Baldoni. Blake, according to Ryan, fell apart in public, but not in private. She wasn't panicking, she was performing. Ryan didn't mince words in court when asked why he eventually came forward. He claimed Blake was faking panic attacks during interviews, leaking photos of herself crying in parking lots, and weaponizing feminism to regain control of the narrative. He pointed to moments where she conveniently collapsed right before press hits or scheduled depositions. In one case, Blake reportedly told their assistant to call photographers before leaving a therapy appointment so she'd be accidentally caught by paps in tears. Ryan admitted he was disgusted, but still chose to protect her for a while. But the final straw wasn't career damage or industry gossip. It was personal. In April 2025, the Daily Mail ran a headline claiming, "Ryan Reynolds is hiding something huge, and it's not about Blake." The story included blurry photos of their two daughters being followed outside their New York school. One paparazzi even reportedly approached a teacher, asking for class schedules. That's when Ryan snapped. In court, he said, "That was it. I didn't care about the PR anymore. I didn't care about Deadpool. I cared about getting my kids out of the line of fire." The next morning, he met with his legal team and agreed to testify. No media consultant, no Marvel lawyers, no branding advisor. Just a signed witness list and a simple instruction: tell the truth, no matter what it costs. Ryan Reynolds didn't break his silence to hurt Blake. He broke it because protecting her was now hurting his children, his career, and his integrity. The courtroom was silent, but not because of order. It was the kind of silence that follows a public unmasking, when even the judge avoids eye contact and no one wants to be the first to breathe too loud. Ryan Reynolds had just left the witness box. His testimony was over, but the damage was still echoing through the room. And in the front row, behind the defense table, Blake Lively was visibly unraveling. She clutched a folder, her lips trembling, eyes glassy, then finally gave in, sobbing into her sleeve loud enough to carry across the courtroom mic. Reporters sitting near the front caught what she said under her breath. "He was supposed to protect me," she muttered, not once, but several times. The words were barely audible, but unmistakable. Raw, cracked, and utterly defeated. What followed next was harder to ignore. Blake slammed the folder onto the table, sending a flurry of papers flying onto the courtroom floor. One reporter from Law 360 described it as a quiet explosion. Another caught the moment she pointed at her lawyer and demanded, "Fix this." Now? The courtroom went into immediate pause. Her legal team scrambled to regain control, quickly filing a motion to strike Reynolds' testimony, arguing it was emotionally charged, personally biased, and designed to humiliate the defendant, rather than present factual evidence. But Judge Marcia Dempsey wasn't having it. She reviewed the objection briefly and denied it within the hour. Ryan's testimony, she noted, fell within the boundaries of permissible witness relevance. and was consistent with the timeline of previously submitted discovery. Translation? Nothing was getting scrubbed. While that courtroom drama played out, the professional fallout was accelerating just as fast outside. Later that same day, Stephanie Jones filed to officially dissolve JonesWorks, the PR agency that had once been Blake's full-time image machine. Legal documents revealed the firm's board cited reputational collapse, client abandonment, and pending liabilities directly tied to the Lively case. Stephanie, once Blake's closest behind-the-scenes fixer, had finally pulled the plug, and this time, not even NDAs could stop the paperwork from surfacing online. Back in Hollywood, the dominoes were lining up fast. Ryan Reynolds, despite his public silence since testifying, had not filed for divorce, but multiple insiders confirmed that his legal team had begun drawing up asset separation agreements. These aren't just routine protections, they're the opening steps of a structured uncoupling. Maximum Effort, their co-owned production company, is reportedly undergoing a full financial audit, and at least 2 joint sponsorship deals have already been quietly dissolved. Blake's attorney, meanwhile, has reportedly begun drafting a revised plea strategy, one designed to avoid a full jury trial. The fear is that if the current direction continues, more text messages, audio clips, or even set footage might be introduced into evidence, and public opinion is already spiraling against her. A jury trial in this climate could turn into a televised takedown. Blake's legal team is now exploring settlement pathways or a judge-only bench trial to minimize the spectacle. But it may already be too late for damage control. Justin Baldoni's civil suit, originally seen as weak due to its he said, she said nature, is now gaining serious legal momentum. 2 women, both former co-stars of Blake on separate streaming projects, have stepped forward through their attorneys to claim Blake used similar manipulation tactics during their productions, including fabricated discomfort claims and private requests to remove male actors from sets. Baldoni's legal counsel is reportedly preparing a motion to introduce those patterns as supporting evidence of character behavior. Hollywood has noticed. Agencies are distancing themselves. Sponsorships are stalling. And multiple brand deals under the Betty Buzz and Betty Booze labels have quietly removed Blake from promotional materials. For some, this is just another celebrity scandal. But for those watching closely, the message is clear. This isn't ending with a courtroom win or loss. It ended because Blake Lively's own husband took the stand and peeled back everything. Whether she survives this professionally isn't up to a judge anymore. It's up to an industry that has already started whispering what nobody dared say aloud just a year ago. She burned the house down, and now she's choking on the smoke.